Hey guys, Coach is here. Dan, Coach, do you want to make the opening statement, or you want to go right to questions?
All right. If we go right to the questions, Phil.
Okay, great. Helen, Gavin.
Thanks, Phil. Coach, what was kind of the players' reaction when they heard they had to go on this pause for a second time? And is it more difficult to do it again, I would think, or they've been through it before, I kind of know what the routine is?
Yeah, the reaction was probably one of surprise, and then I think unfortunately they know, unfortunately because they've been through it, that it's going to be a while before we could practice again. So I think they're used to, like a lot of people, that feeling of being, isolated, on campus, and then not even having the ability to practice or be together as a group is, is something that's, you're just concerned for their, mental, emotional well-being more than anything right now.
Mike, Anthony?
Dan, it's only obviously not even quite mid-December with a long, long way to go in this project, in this journey. I'm just wondering how exasperated you might feel already by this.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to complain about the frustration of of a college basketball season with respect to the real world problems that COVID has created medically, economically, what it's done to families and people. So it's I say it with respect to with great respect to that. This is it's challenging. It's we've it's to try to to keep a team engaged and prepared to play games and to have a season. It doesn't feel like much of a season right now at this particular moment.
Do you start to lose hope that it ever will?
No. I think you lose. No, you don't lose hope in it. You get frustrated. You see how challenging it's going to be. But we knew this was coming. Not necessarily not the positive test this week, but we knew that this was going to be a season filled with stops and starts and uncertainty, and we'll be frustrated for a couple days, and then hopefully if we have some good fortune, we'll be able to start up again, potentially over the course of the weekend or early next week, and then we'll embark on it again, and we will stir up that cauldron of intensity and get ready to play the next game we can play.
Thanks.
You got it.
Dave Borges, go ahead.
Dan, are the guys like last time? I know it's only been a couple of days, but are they able to work out individually or two guys at a time like last time? Are you even at that point yet in terms of what they can do right now?
Yeah, they've started to shoot around. Obviously anyone that's was a close contact has a through contact tracing, there's just different criteria for different people in terms of what you can do. So, but I saw a couple of players were in the facility today shooting on the shooting machine and getting shots and trying to get back to some level of some normalcy.
And I guess as far as you and the staff is concerned, I guess judging by what you just said a few moments ago, I mean, are you even game planning and scouting Georgetown right now, or does that seem like it's probably not going to happen on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we've released relative to the schedule. So, but I don't know what to say about that. And as far as staff, as far as the Georgetown game goes, the staff, some staff members were contact traced, out of work and out of being allowed in the facility, and some of the staff is allowed just based on the contact tracing to continue to come into the office. So, it's pretty complicated. And obviously that Georgetown game is I think that's Sunday. And I think if everything were to, our first potential day back as a group, potentially would be Sunday. I think if we got all negative tests for the rest of the week. So I guess we'll see where that goes.
Don Mamori?
Hey, Dan, I just, relative to that, have they given you some kind of template or formula where if this happens, you could go back on this day? If that happens, you could go back on this other day. Is that what you're working at, or is there a set number of days that's a minimum?
Yeah, I think we're obviously not in that same 14-day quarantine or pause that we went through just a couple of weeks ago. So we are, I guess, depending on the test results with everyone in tier 1, that'll determine whether it becomes a 7-day or it could be as many as 10 days, with obviously that's what people that test negative, those obviously that test positive for this, they'll go potentially a little bit longer with the cardiac testing and I think some of the things that they've got to do to return to the court. But if you're negative and you continue to test negative, you potentially could be as short as 7 days if we have any luck.
Zach, Raz?
What's up, Dan?
Zach, so
you guys wait so long for, your all off season. It's obviously not a normal off season, but it's, you're waiting so long to, rejoin the Big East, and, you have a nice win the other night. Just how deflating is it after, everything that's gone on that, you obviously won't be starting the league season off Friday or probably this weekend at all?
Yeah, I mean, 2020 has been, it's been a bumpy ride. So, it's been a rough year in general, for in a lot of different ways. So, but it's you feel for, obviously, just relative to the basketball world, you obviously you feel really bad for for our fans. It's such an incredible fan base for the university, for the students. The atmosphere for this Friday's game whether that was at the XL or in Gamble, would have been, it's as good an atmosphere as there is in college basketball when you play a home game for UConn. But that first game back in the Big East would have been just absolutely electrifying. So you feel bad, obviously, for the fans. You feel bad for our players, especially the older players, that if this is their last year of college basketball and their last memory of it. Obviously, the guys that finished their career last year got robbed of the conference tournament. They got robbed of the NCAA tournament. And now if you're a senior and this is your last year of college basketball, it's a pretty pretty shitty way, crappy way, or for your career to end after you put your life into it.
Dan, just to clear, you said Sunday would be your the first day back together. I mean, would you? Right. I mean, for everyone, would you consider if you are able to be back together to play a game on Sunday, or does that seem like a long shot?
I'm not going to comment on that, Zach, because I would like to confer with my athletic director and with the Big East Conference first. But that's a difficult timeline.
Gotcha.
John Pearson?
Hey, Danny. Is this as dejected as you've been through this whole thing? Listen, every day is stressful for a lot of people, but it's kind of written on your face. And just as you get out of the breakdown lane, you get in the slow lane, you win 3 games, you're back in the breakdown lane. At what point, if this keeps happening, is it not worth even going through with it anymore? Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, I got to look more chipper than I'm sorry, John. Let me.
Well, we're all used to see you so happy. Like it just like you're just a beaten man. This is beating people down.
Yeah. I mean, it's what no, I mean, you never stop. Moving forward, you never. Whatever you're faced with, whatever adversity it is or uncertainty, and I think a lot of times uncertainty is tougher than. Than adversity. At least when you face adversity, you know your opponent. You have the enemy, and you can face it. The hard thing is just kind of waiting. You take the saliva test this morning, and now at some point in the next hour, we're going to find out. Just the test results for coaches and players, and then that may improve our timeline or make it worse. But what we're I think athletes and coaches were tough-minded people. There's certainly a layer of frustration. The players are frustrated. The coaches are exasperated by the whole thing, and once we know officially when our first day is going to be back, then I think we'll be in a lot better spirits, and we won't be in just swimming in uncertainty.
Well, thanks for the quick smile. Do appreciate it. hang in there.
Yeah. Appreciate you, John.
All right. Charlotte?
Hey, Dan, thanks for the time. I just wanted to go back actually to Friday night before even you guys got the positive test, what that experience was like, because that was your first one, kind of the scheduling on the fly with UConn for you guys, just like that.
Yeah, it was a heck of a week, Charlotte. So it was like, we're in practice. I'll take you back to last Sunday. We're on the court. We're literally in the middle of a defensive breakdown drill. Preparing for, Pippen and Vanderbilt and some of the things they do. And Eric Jankowski came over and whispered in my ear that Vanderbilt was out. So we quickly pivoted to a shooting drill. So we had about an hour left in practice. So it went from, specific practice tailored to an opponent on Tuesday to then shooting and just scrimmaging and just kind of, and then you go into a couple days You know, we were in a bubble then for, you know, a couple, you decide you're playing USC, NC State. And then obviously you play the game Thursday. And then, you know, we were in bed. We had just had a meeting in the hallway on our floor at the bubble. You know, we watched the scout tape on the projector on the wall in the hallway as a group, the coaches and players. We watched the scout. We framed the game for them in terms of the importance of it and the matchups and with NC State, because we felt it was going to be a great game and a great opponent. And we met with individual position groups before they went into their rooms to give them kind of like a positional breakdown of the opponent. And then we went to bed, and I got the call close to midnight from Eric Jankowski, who continues to be the bearer of bad news, to tell me that the game was off and that they were positive. So then we came back. We couldn't get a bus out that night, so we stayed at Mohegan. We got a bus back the next day. We started to feverishly track down potential opponents that we had been working on anyway for Monday or Tuesday. Mid-majors that were top 50 type team programs, and then high majors, neutral, road, wherever we could go. Really Saturday into Sunday, I felt like we were close to making a decision on an opponent, and then we got the COVID positive. That was it. That was a stream of consciousness for you. The only way you're going to obviously have any of that is if you go back and watch this, because I just rambled, right, Phil?
That's fine. Got the timeline right.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a week.
Joe's own. Oh, sorry.
3 games became 1, and then the 4th game became none, and now we're back in the quarantine or pause. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Joe.
Dan, in terms of energy and motivation, who do you worry about more now, the upperclassmen or the freshmen?
Hell of a question, Joe. I mean, so many freshmen are buried this year because of losing the summer, the preseason. These pauses are just obviously having just a devastating effect on Andre and Adama and Javante and all of our younger guys. So yeah, I mean, it's really bad for them. The older guys I worry about more, Joe, just because of just how this is your last year of college basketball. Right now, if you play at UConn, if you're at another school in another conference in another state that's handling it differently, you may feel differently. But based on these guys, November and December, I'd imagine that they're pretty disappointed right now.
Sure. Pat, Eaton, Rob.
Yeah, Coach, can you talk about how you're handling scheduling for the rest of the year? Are you still involved in that? Are you in any of these coach group chats where people are trying to find opponents, or are you leaving that up to Mr. Benedict and others at this point?
Yeah, we were all in on that. We were, Eric Jankowski, who's obviously very popular on this call. He was grinding hard. I mean, we were in a position where, this past week we would have been able to get 3 or 4 games between the bubble and then trying to get another one in before the St. John's game. So now, obviously, this is in the hands of the Big East Conference. We could look for pockets in the Big East schedule, where we may be able to fit in a non-conference game, but it seems like it's probably conference games or nothing for us at this point. Unless there's some windows in there, which we don't even know what the conference schedule is going to be after Christmas, so it's hard to project.
Bill Paxton?
Hey, Dan, has there been any talk, I mean, just because this keeps going on with different teams, that maybe the Big East has a kind of a bubble thing come January to get some league games in at a neutral site?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard, I haven't had much communication from the Big East relative to, the scheduling piece. So yeah, I have no idea. I think we're just trying to figure out, I guess, how long this. I'm sure Dave is having those conversations with people at the Big East, but I haven't talked to them.
Back to Gavin.
Hi, Dan. With the schedule, on to change at times, kind of what's your comfort level if you have a postponement and then to pick up out of the team as far as preparing? Is it give me 48 hours, I'll be ready to go? And how do you feel about that? So,
Gavin, I'm going to go context answer. You and Tom Moore have the worst Wi-Fi in the state, too. I'm not going to share where Tom lives. Yes, Mike. Gavin, you may have to sit one. You may have to go into this shutdown pause. You may have to pause, Gavin. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, we.
It's Rhode Island. Dan, it's right. I can't help it.
That makes sense, then. I'll give you a pass. That makes sense. Been there, done that. So yeah, I would say that's hard to gauge. It's hard to gauge when we'll be able to play again. We obviously we had the 2 week shutdown right before, just I don't know if that was 5 days before the opener we got back. It was we were. Just from a conditioning standpoint, it was kind of messy. Forget level of play. I mean, like the level of play is going to be what it is this year. That's something that's not our biggest concern. It's really just the health and welfare of the players and not putting them in a position where they're greater risk for an injury because they're going from a 7 week, or 7 day shutdown or a 10 day, just a couple weeks after having a 14 day. I just, I don't know if our first day back in practice is Sunday. If our first day back is Sunday, yeah, I mean, like I'm not putting those guys on the court for a game. And then I don't know how many days. It's something that something that we're going to have to talk about internally here with, myself and Dave Benedict on our staff. I could tell you this, we're going to take the absolute best care of our players with every decision that we make. And we're not going to get pressured as a staff to do anything that's not in the best interest of our players by anybody.
Dave Borges?
Yeah, you foresee a possibility at some point? I don't know if it would be, within the next week or two, or maybe some other time during the season, where you would do something like what Syracuse has done, where, one or two guys who are in quarantine wouldn't play, and everyone else who's tested out could play, that type of deal.
I don't want to speculate on that, on what's the right way to do this or what's the wrong way to do this, because I haven't had enough education on medical issues at this juncture. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know that this is, it's going to be, it's going to be very, very hard to have any semblance of a season under these conditions. Or if you have a semblance of a season, it's going to be very difficult to perform at a level that you're going to feel good about when the season's over if this continues to go on.
Dom, Maury?
Dan, I know Dave mentioned earlier today, and I know the Mohegan Sun people mentioned it yesterday, that to really have a bubble, you can't have teams coming in and out. You have to have everybody in there for maybe 5-6 days before anybody even plays. If the Big East did want to go that route in January or February, where it might be a long stretch in a place like Mohegan Sun, would you be in favor of that? Would you be okay with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation like we were in. They did a great job at Mohegan with everything there. So like a short stay bubble where you try to get maybe 2 or 3 games in short bursts. Or if you're going to stay, or if you're going to stay for a longer period of time, like 2 weeks, and try to get in more games, like a 6 or 7 games, 2+ weeks, then you have to have larger access to a bigger space. Because the thing about the bubble there at Mohegan is, you literally can't go anywhere. The only place that you have any freedom to move is in your room. Otherwise, you're literally taken around by security everywhere that you go, because the hotel is still active, the casino, the restaurants, and the reason why the NBA, effectively became a bubble where people could move more freely and go for a walk. It was because they took over like the entire, hotel area. So people there were people there I talked to that had been there for 12 or 13 days and hadn't gone outside. So, I mean, there's things that they would, like, if that's where it's going, people need to, if that's where it's heading, the leadership needs to get together and really have conversations with people that were in the bubble, so we could come up with a plan to actually execute the bubble really, really well. And those conversations probably need to start soon. Like they got to start really, really soon if that's where it's heading. And they should involve the coaches.
Wayne?
People that were there in the bubble.
Hi, Dan. During this pause, do you have team meetings with the group, like on Zoom? And what can you accomplish with that? You can't draw up plays, so what do you do? What do you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, you just try to keep the group together. Keep their spirits up. We actually can't do a Zoom every day with the players, Wayne, because we mandatory have to give them a day off a week. So we actually can't check in with them every day via Zoom, because then we would be committing a violation. So we would just check in with them. We'll send them articles to read, podcast. You can watch some film, review some actions that we want to run. Obviously, for us, just continue just to stay connected and keep these guys who are already, they were isolated during Thanksgiving from their families. They weren't allowed to see their families to play the season. They're not going to see their families for Christmas to play the season. they're on campus by themselves. So they're pretty isolated away from loved ones and friends. So we've got to do whatever we can to try to pick up their spirits, stay together.
Charlotte?
I just wanted to ask, because I don't think it was clarified and not sure if you can tell us, but was it a player, a coach, or a staff member who tested positive?
I believe I'm allowed to answer that, right, Phil, without giving a name?
I think so, yes.
Yes, it was a player.
Thank you.
It was a player, and then I believe a non-tier 1 personnel, Phil.
So there's been 2 positive tests then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dave Borges?
I just want to check in on with a Cook. I know he had a hamstring issue. How is he? And maybe not as badly as the last time, but I mean, does this kind of affect his rehab a little bit now as well?
Yeah, this is not. It's not a good situation for Cook. He's antsy. He's concerned. He would have been approaching 60 minutes of live this week. So, it's had a, debilitating effect on his return and his return date and his recovery. And he knows it. He's dialed in. He looks great. He continues to look great, looks great, but getting on the court and this is an important part of his return is these live reps, 5-on-5, which again, he was returning to 60 minutes of full court 5-on-5. So, he's communicating with a surgeon. He's dialed in. But yeah, this isn't, this isn't great for him.
Any other questions from anybody? I don't see any. Going once, twice.
Hey, Phil, got something here? Phil?
Yeah.
For Coach, Coach, as a head coach, you're supposed to have all the answers, right? How difficult is it for you day in and day out to be to these kids? I don't have an answer for you. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm not sure when we're going to get out there. Sooner or later, it's got to be taxing on not just them, but you as well. Could you lend a perspective on those conversations, maybe?
Yeah, it's. I just think my. The key to my leadership and how I tried to, direct and lead my staffs, the staffs that have worked with me and the players is I've always just been very honest and upfront about, where things are and be very, very transparent with my truth telling and it's like I told the players, earlier today, in the end, we're going to be out of this. We're going to be back to our business. We're going to get, hopefully, several days to prepare for our first Big East game in several years, and no one's going to care. All we're going to be judged on is our performance and the end result, and no one's going to care. No one's going to write in the story of our season that COVID buried us in November and December. So basically, no one cares, fellas. Like, be mentally tough, do the best we can, staying in shape, do the best we can, staying sharp skill-wise, working, on a shooting machine, because in the end, when that ball goes up, we're going to have to deliver, and we're on a mission to play in March in the NCAA tournament. So whatever adversity we face, we've got to have enough success when we get back on the court to get back in that tournament that UConn belongs in and that we're striving to play in this year. That's it.
Dan, what's the picture over your shoulder on your wall?
Well, I got a couple. I got a lot of things going on down here. I got Chad Ochocinco toe tapping in the end zone over there. John, that's for Fonta and his Cleveland Browns, right? Brutal clowns.
9-3, Dan.
Yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe it. The turnaround there. So I got Chad Ochocinco there. I got Namath. I got autographed Namath over there. Second favorite NFL team, the Jets. I got the initial big three there with Mikhail Parrish and Bird autographed next to the Namath, and then I got the soldiers at Rhode Island, Hassan Martin, Karan Iverson, EC, Jared Terrell from the A-10 championship game. I got my first UConn game there. I got a movie poster from Jaws, Hoosiers, Goodfellas, first game Wagner. All right, is that
perfect? Thank you.
Thanks for
that. That's somebody that just want somebody to talk to. Thanks, Mike.
We're here.
Last question, Charlotte.
It's not as exciting as that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But on the topic of a cook, how's everyone else feeling besides the player with COVID? Are there any other injuries, or is everyone pretty healthy still?
No, we're any injuries that we might have had have all
gone.
They've all cleared up. So everyone's feeling great, except obviously the guys that are in the quarantine with the COVID. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, is that it?
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
See you
Bye,
soon,
everybody.